Malice by John Gwynne. I really, really like this book. 3.5 stars, and yeah, hopefully you'll stay tuned for my review. So I did really, really enjoy this book. My problems with it were with the pacing, but the storyline were pretty good. I really liked them. Corbin was my favorite character. He was, I would say, the main character. Basically, he kind of starts on a farm, not on a farm, like he's kind of a farm boy, kind of that kind of storyline. But I wouldn't subscribe him as a typical protagonist. He's pretty different. He's around my age, and I didn't relate a lot to him. I loved Storm in this book. She was my favorite character by far. I really liked her. I love wolves, and I love animal companions. She's technically a wolven, but I'm pretty sure that's the same thing. I don't know, but she's like a wolven, and basically Corbin's pet thing, like kind of an animal companion. And I thought that worked amazingly. I loved that happened, and basically the scene where Storm attacks Rafe was really cool. That was my favorite scene in the book, and they kind of had to run away. That was cool, and yeah. And I just liked that part of the book a lot, and I really, really enjoyed seeing that. And basically how Corbin got Storm, like just kind of like using what is that called, like the King's Protection or the Queen's Protection or something like that, to get Storm, and like they kind of got him as a baby, and they trained her, and then it was really fun read and had a lot of fun in that moment. It was a good book. I really loved that part of the book. And Verdas was kind of boring. I did not like Verdas. I found it hard to pay attention with Verdas because I wanted to read other people's art. And I kind of felt myself rushing through Verdas's art because I didn't care. Honestly, I like with the giant fightings, I really just didn't care. It sounded interesting, but I really just didn't have the willpower to get through that. So I did read it, obviously. It's a book review, but like I didn't feel like I enjoyed that part as other people's art. I think for the longest time it was like for like 300 pages in the middle of the book, it was literally just Corbin, Verdas, and just like switching POVs every 10 pages or less. That's what I hated about it. It was very, very quick. Like the POVs were 5 to 10 pages, or not even less than that. Like I've seen like half pages, and then the switched POV. Stormlight handles it much better because they kind of have a couple chapters, like maybe 5 chapters with this POV, and then you kind of switch back, and I feel like it's much more like elongated, and I feel like this one's much more choppy and blocky in that sense because it's chopping up these books in like so many parts. And I felt like this was a multiple POV story that wasn't handled as well as something like Stormlight or something like Lord of the Rings or Wheel of Time. I think they handled it much better because they have big chapters. Wheel of Time chapters are long, and they have multiple of those for a POV. And I love that. This thing felt like I get this much of the character's storyline, and then this much of the next character, and I felt like that kind of stopped my enjoyment a lot, if you know what I mean. The storylines are pretty good. So I like Swen, or is that Corbin's sister's name? Swen. Correct. She was a good character. Gar, I enjoyed Gar. He was a good, like, the stable master thing. I think Corbin's storyline is the best. I enjoyed Corbin. I think he's the main character, if I believe. I don't know if he'll be the main character of the next book. I'm not sure about the next book. I'm not expert on the Faithful and the Fallen. But I can already tell a difference. I'm reading Shadow of the Gods currently with Ethan. And, yeah, I can see the difference a lot. It's so much more smooth. I'm saying I like Shadow of the Gods more. But even, like, the storyline I think it was equal to Malice. I just think he executes it so much better in Shadow of the Gods, and I'm really happy I'm reading that. I think, yeah, I really liked the contents of the story. I think that's what happens with a lot of new authors with me, or people's authors' first books. I find their content good. I find what they have to say is pretty good most of the time. But whenever I have a new author, a lot of times the execution is where it falls apart. Like the prose weren't great. I mean, it wasn't terrible, but I wasn't blown away by the prose. And I could tell this is a new author. But I've always seen that. I've seen that so many times. The only time I kind of didn't see that was in Rage of Dragons, but that's kind of a exception. But I'm really excited. I'm really happy with John Gwynne. I hear the last 2 books in the series are very excellent. And yeah, I'm positive I'm probably going to be starting Valor by the end of the year. Yeah, so I just think great book overall. I didn't hate it. I have problems with it, and that doesn't mean I hate it whatsoever. I thought it was a great book. It handled things really well. And I definitely want to continue. I felt like this book was definitely not full. It was not a cliffhanger as to say, but it wasn't a full story on its own. But so I'm definitely excited. I'm definitely pumped for that. And yeah, only good things to come. And the good thing, I see such a future in this book. Like in the series, I see like, I know he's a great author, and John Gwynn is probably going to be one of my favorite authors pretty soon because I can see his potential, if you know what I mean. So I already like John Gwynn as a person. I've seen many interviews. But yeah, that my review for Malice, 3.5. And I only expect my reviews to get better for The Faithful and the Fallen. So yeah, see you guys in the next video.